Tonight, let's begin with our top story. And KT News has obtained damning witness statements that the late Jenniffer, wambua, who was found murdered over the weekend, had recorded with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations in a 122 million shilling corruption case against Lugari Member of Parliament Ayub Savula, alongside 9 other persons. In this statement, Wambua, who was the Deputy Director of Communication at the National Lands Commission, disowned dozens of invoices worth over 100 million shillings that had been raised for payment to several companies associated to the Lugari Member of Parliament, allegedly for advertising services rendered. Now, Wambua stated that most of the payments were made without following the due process, while others were acts of blatant fraud. As Duncan Haemba opens our broadcast tonight.
On the 22nd October 2018 at 12:55 hours, Jenniffer Itumbi Wambua honored summons to appear before the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to record a statement over a fraud case against Lugari Member of Parliament Ayub Savula, his 2 wives, former ICTPS Sami Temere, and former Government Advertising Agency Director Dennis Chebitwei, among others who had been arrested a few days earlier. Working as the Deputy Director in charge of communications at the National Land Commission, Wambua was in charge of initiating communication and advertising works for the Commission. The DCI wanted Wambua to confirm that the invoices worth millions of shillings of advertisements on behalf of the Commission had properly been requisitioned and executed. She was presented with a total of 13 invoices that she was required to scrutinize and authenticate. She disowned most of the invoices as fraudulent, ultimately make her the prosecution's star witness in the case. Regarding voucher number 1153 of invoice number 134 of 2.4 million, Wambua stated that despite writing a letter to the Government Advertising Agency requesting for media placements and advertisements, her request was not brought back to her for approval. She stated, and I quote, "I am surprised to learn that works were done without our approval." She further stated that the magazine that was paid for, called the CEO Africa, was never brought to the Commission, and therefore she was not aware of the works paid for. On voucher number 1092 of invoice number 00161 of 7 million shillings, Wambua said, "I also state that I am not aware of the works. I did not approve this work." End of quote. Another payment was voucher number 2185 and invoice number 131 for 8.7 million shillings, and she said, "Also this work I am not aware of." Same case with voucher number 1658 of invoice number 00162 for 2.4 million shillings. "I am not aware of this work," she stated. Voucher number 5376, invoice number 0070 for 5.9 million, Jenniffer Wambua said, "I am not aware of this advert." Invoice number 002 for 9.8 million was paid in the name of Express Media Group, while invoice number 133 of 22 million shillings was in the name of Melserve Company Limited. 3 different companies, Cross Continents Ventures, John Newton Communication, and Shieldlock Limited, were paid 9.8 million shillings each. Cross Continents Ventures was also paid another 22 million under invoice number 1252, while the other payment to the same company of 9.8 million was under invoice number 1284. John Newton Communication, which had been allocated 9.8 million under invoice number 180, also had a 22 million shilling allocation under invoice number 179. The prosecution told the court that it had reason to believe the companies that received the monies were associated with Savula and his 2 wives, Helen Jepkorir and Gatwiri. Former PS Itemere and GAA Director Chebitwei face charges of abuse of office and fraudulent authorization of payments. The late Jenniffer also stated that, and I quote, "I was also shown the following vouchers that had the same letter dated 9th December 2016, attached to them for the magazines that I had not even requested for as follows. Voucher number 7177, invoice number 003 for 4.2 million. Voucher number 2706, invoice number 004 for 4.2 million shillings. According to me, she stated the said adverts were never done, and her conclusion was damning, and I quote, "The person who paid for the said works knows the reason why he did so, because I, as the requester, never received the services. Neither did I approve for the same." End of quote. The state, through the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, confirmed to KTN News that it lodged Wambua's statement in the case against Savula and 19 others. Wambua was initially expected to be cross-examined on her statement on Wednesday, March 17th, before she mysteriously disappeared and was later found murdered, her body dumped at Kerarapon in Ngong Forest. Police and homicide detectives are probing her murder, and so far they have not established the reason or motive for the killing. And there is no reason to suggest that her killing was in any way related to the ongoing case in which she was a state witness. A post-mortem on her body will be conducted on Thursday, with burial scheduled to take place at her home in Machakos County on Friday. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.
All very damning and quite telling. This is a developing story that KTN News will definitely be keeping tabs on until the killers are found. Let's turn our attention now to COVID-19 pandemic, and the national government is tonight warning that you must not lower your guard as the current third wave is deadlier if not checked. Now, the Daily